Time slowed. She felt herself falling backward off the platform edge, the yellow safety line already behind her, the tracks rushing up to meet her. 27 years of life flashed before her eyes, and then iron fingers clamped around her wrist, wrenching her body sideways with impossible force. She crashed into a wall of solid muscle instead of cold steel rails. The train thundered past inches away, close enough that the wind whipped her blonde hair across her face, close enough that she felt the heat of it against her skin. Emma couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Her entire body shook violently as strong arms locked around her, pulling her against a broad chest in an expensive suit that smelled of cedar and something darker, something dangerous. "I've got you." The voice was deep, accented. Italian, maybe, and utterly calm despite what had just happened. "You're safe." But she wasn't safe. She could still see Michael's face in the crowd, his eyes wide with shock at what he'd just done. Her ex-boyfriend. The man she'd dated for 3 years. The man who'd just tried to kill her. "Did you see him?" Emma gasped, her fingers clutching the stranger's jacket. "Did you see—" "I saw everything." The man's voice dropped to something cold and lethal that made her shiver for an entirely different reason. His arms were still around her, steadying her on the platform as other commuters rushed past, oblivious. "Stay behind me." He turned, and Emma finally got a look at her savior. Tall, at least 6'3", with jet-black hair swept back from a face that belonged on Roman statues, all sharp angles and brutal beauty. His eyes were the color of smoke, and right now they were fixed on something across the platform with an intensity that made her heart skip. Michael was trying to blend into the crowd, edging toward the exit stairs. "Going somewhere?" The stranger's voice carried across the platform despite the noise, cutting through the chaos like a knife. Michael froze. When he turned, his face had gone pale. "I don't know what you think you saw, but I saw you try to murder this woman." Each word was precise, controlled, but underneath Emma heard something that made her blood run cold. This man was furious. Absolutely, utterly furious, and somehow keeping it contained behind a wall of ice. "I saw you wait until the train was coming. I saw you look around to make sure no one was watching, and I saw you put both hands on her shoulders and push." "That's insane. Emma, tell him. We were just talking. You lost your balance." "Don't." The stranger didn't raise his voice, but Michael stopped mid-sentence. "Don't insult my intelligence, and don't ever speak her name again." Emma's mind was reeling. 30 seconds ago she'd been about to die, and now she was watching this impossibly confident, impossibly dangerous man face down her ex, like Michael was nothing more than an irritating insect. "Look, I don't know who you are," Michael said, trying to inject some authority into his voice and failing miserably. "But this is between me and my girlfriend." "Ex-girlfriend," Emma managed to say, her voice shaking but audible. "We broke up 2 months ago." Michael's jaw tightened. "Because you couldn't let things go. Because you kept calling me, kept showing up at my apartment. I went to get my grandmother's ring back." The words burst out of Emma before she could stop them. "The one you said you lost. The one I saw on your new girlfriend's finger on Instagram. You're stalking me on social media, and you wonder why I—" Michael cut himself off, but the damage was done. The stranger went very, very still. "Finish that sentence," he said softly. "Finish it, and give me a reason." For the first time, genuine fear crossed Michael's face. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone you don't want to know." The stranger reached into his jacket. Michael flinched and pulled out a phone. "You have 2 options. Option 1, you run. You get on the next train, you leave this city, and you never come back. You never contact Emma again. You never think her name. You become a ghost. And option 2?" The stranger's smile had no warmth in it whatsoever. "I make a phone call, and you disappear for real, permanently. There are spots in the Hudson River where they'll never find you." Emma's breath caught. He couldn't be serious. Could he? But Michael clearly believed him, because all the color drained from his face. You're threatening me? I'll go to the cops. And tell them what? That you tried to commit murder in front of a dozen witnesses? The stranger gestured casually at the security cameras mounted along the platform. I'm sure they'd be very interested in reviewing that footage. I know the precinct captain quite well, actually. Had dinner with him last week. Lovely man. Very protective of innocent women. The casual way he said it, the absolute certainty that he could make this go away, or turn it into Michael's worst nightmare with a single phone call, sent a chill down Emma's spine. This wasn't a normal man. Normal men didn't talk about bodies in rivers and dinner with police captains in the same breath. Who are you? Emma whispered. He didn't look at her, keeping his eyes fixed on Michael. A concerned citizen. Michael's hands clenched into fists, and for one horrible moment Emma thought he might actually try something. Then he seemed to see something in the stranger's face, or maybe in the way 3 large men in dark suits had suddenly materialized at the edge of the platform, watching, and his shoulders slumped. This isn't over, he muttered. Yes, the stranger said, it is. One way or another, it ends tonight. Choose. Michael looked at Emma one last time. She'd expected to see anger, maybe even remorse. Instead, she saw something that chilled her blood. Resentment. Pure, bitter resentment, like she'd done something wrong by surviving. Crazy bitch, he spat, and turned toward the stairs. The stranger moved. Emma didn't even see it happen. One moment he was beside her. The next he had Michael by the collar, lifted slightly off his feet, slammed back against a support column hard enough to make him grunt. I warned you, the stranger said, his voice still perfectly calm, perfectly controlled. I told you not to speak to her, not to speak about her, not to even think her name. His hand tightened. Touch her again, insult her again, come within 100 feet of her again, and you die. Not a threat, not a promise, a fact. Nod if you understand. Michael nodded frantically, his face turning red. Good. The stranger released him, and Michael crumpled, gasping. You have 60 seconds to be on a train. Any train. I don't care where it goes. After that, my associates will make sure you regret your decision. He glanced at his watch, an expensive piece that probably cost more than Emma's car, and added conversationally, 55 seconds now. Michael ran. Actually ran, stumbling toward the nearest platform, nearly falling down the stairs in his haste to get away. Emma watched him go, her entire body numb. Everything had happened so fast. 5 minutes ago she'd been on her way home from her shift at the bookstore. Now her ex-boyfriend had tried to kill her, and a stranger who talked about murder like other people talked about the weather had saved her life. You're shaking. The stranger turned back to her, and his expression softened. Barely, but enough that she could see actual concern beneath the cold exterior. Adrenaline, perfectly normal. Sit down before you fall down. He guided her to a bench, one hand on her elbow, and Emma sank onto it gratefully. Her legs felt like water. I should call the police, she said, but her hand was trembling so badly she could barely hold her phone. You could. He sat beside her, keeping a careful distance, respectable. The cameras caught everything. You'd have a solid case for attempted murder. He'd go to prison. But he has a good lawyer. I can tell by the way he dressed, the watch he wore, and good lawyers can create reasonable doubt. He'd claim it was an accident, that you lost your balance. His new girlfriend would testify that you'd been unstable since the breakup. Character assassination. And even if he went to prison, he'd get out eventually. And he'd know exactly where to find you. Emma's stomach turned. So I just, what? Let him get away with it? I didn't say that. The stranger pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. I'm making sure he leaves the city. I have people at every major station and airport. If he's smart, he'll keep running. If he's not... He slipped the phone back into his jacket. Well, he'll learn. Who are you? Emma asked again. Please, I deserve to know who just saved my life. He studied her for a long moment, those smoke-gray eyes taking in every detail of her face. She must look terrible. Mascara probably running, hair a mess, her bookstore uniform wrinkled from being crushed against him. But he looked at her like she was something precious and breakable. "Dante," he said finally. "Dante Salvatore." The name meant nothing to Emma, but she saw recognition flicker across the faces of the two businessmen walking past. They gave Dante a wide berth, eyes carefully averted. "Emma Carter," she managed. "And thank you. I don't know how to thank you. You saved my life." "You shouldn't have needed saving." Anger flickered across his face again, quickly controlled. What kind of man tries to kill a woman over a ring? Over wounded pride? "A weak one," Emma said, surprising herself. "I should have seen it earlier. There were signs. He was always so concerned with how things looked, with appearances. When I asked for my grandmother's ring back, it was the only thing I had left of her. He said I was being materialistic, that I cared more about things than about him." She laughed bitterly. "I should have just let it go." "No," Dante's voice was firm. "You should never have had to choose between your memories and your safety. He should have returned what was yours, like a man." The way he said it, like there were rules, codes of behavior that Michael had violated, made Emma curious, despite her shock. "You're not from here, are you? New York, I mean." "I live here now, but no, I was born in Sicily, came to America when I was 16. He glanced at his watch again. "Your train isn't coming for another 12 minutes. Would you like me to wait with you? Or I can call you a car. My driver is nearby." The offer was casual, but Emma heard the unspoken message. He didn't want to leave her alone. Not after what had just happened. "A car would be amazing," she admitted. "I don't think I can handle the train right now, but I can't afford—" "You saved your own life by fighting back," Dante interrupted. "I just kept you from falling. The ride is the least I can do." He was already texting. "Where do you live?" Emma hesitated. Her studio apartment in Queens suddenly seemed very far away and very empty. Maybe I should just go to a hotel, somewhere Michael doesn't know about." Dante's expression darkened. "You think he knows your address?" "He helped me move in. He has a key. I never got it back." Emma's voice broke. God, she was so stupid. How had she not thought about that? "Then you're not going home." Dante stood, making a decision. "Not until we've taken care of this. My driver will be here in 3 minutes. You'll stay at one of my properties tonight. Secure building, doorman, cameras. Tomorrow we'll have a locksmith change all your locks and get your key back from your ex." "I can't ask you to—" "You're not asking. I'm offering." He looked at her, and something in his expression made her throat tight. "Emma, someone just tried to kill you. You're in shock, you're scared, and you have every right to be. Let me help. Please." The please did it. This man who'd threatened to dump Michael in the Hudson River, who had grown men in suits appearing at his beck and call, was saying, please, like her comfort actually mattered to him. "Okay," she whispered. "Thank you." A sleek black Mercedes pulled up to the curb, impossibly fast, like it had been waiting nearby. The driver got out, a mountain of a man who made Michael look like a child, and opened the back door. "After you," Dante said. Emma slid into the car. Leather seats, the kind of luxury she'd only seen in movies. Dante got in beside her, and the driver closed the door with a soft click that somehow made her feel safer than she had in months. As they pulled away from the station, Emma caught a glimpse of Michael on the opposite platform, climbing onto a train. Running, just like Dante had told him to. "Will he really leave the city?" she asked. "If he's smart." Dante pulled out his phone, showed her a screen. A tracking dot moved through the city. Michael's phone, she realized. "I have people watching him. If he goes anywhere near your apartment, your work, anywhere you might be, I'll know. And he'll regret it." Emma should have been scared. This man was tracking her ex-boyfriend, had threatened him, had people who would make him disappear if needed. This was not normal. This was dangerous. But instead, she felt safe for the first time in months. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "You don't know me. We're complete strangers." Dante was quiet for a long moment, looking out the window at the city lights. "My mother," he said finally, "was killed by my father. I was 8 years old. He claimed it was an accident, that she fell down the stairs. Everyone knew the truth. No one did anything." He turned to look at her, and the pain in his eyes was so raw, it hurt to see. "I watched your ex push you. I saw that look in his eyes, like you were nothing, like you deserved it for having the audacity to want back something that was yours. And I thought of my mother. I thought, not again. Never again." Emma's eyes burned with unshed tears. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry, just promise me something." He reached out, then hesitated, his hand hovering near hers on the seat between them. "Promise me you'll take this seriously, that you'll get a restraining order, change your locks, vary your routine. Promise me you'll be careful." "I promise," Emma said, and placed her hand over his. His fingers closed around hers, gentle, despite their obvious strength. "Good." They drove in silence for a while, Emma's hand still in Dante's, both of them processing what had just happened. The adrenaline was wearing off now, leaving exhaustion in its wake. She felt like she could sleep for a week. "Here," Dante said as the car pulled up in front of a building in Tribeca that was so obviously expensive Emma's breath caught. Glass and steel reaching into the night sky, a doorman in an actual uniform standing, beneath a burgundy awning. "The penthouse is empty. I use it for business guests sometimes. You'll have privacy, security, everything you need." "This is too much," Emma protested, but Dante was already helping her out of the car. "It's empty space," he said simply. "You need it tonight. That's not too much. That's just practical." The doorman greeted Dante by name, "Mr. Salvatore, good evening," and barely blinked at Emma's disheveled appearance. Professional discretion, she supposed. The elevator was mirrored and gleaming, and Emma caught sight of herself for the first time. She looked like she'd been through a war. Her mascara had run, leaving dark tracks down her cheeks. Her hair was a mess. Her uniform, the stupid khaki skirt and green polo she had to wear at the bookstore, was wrinkled and had a tear at the shoulder. "I look terrible," she muttered. "You look alive," Dante said firmly. "That's what matters." The elevator opened directly into the penthouse, because of course it did, and Emma stepped into a space that belonged in an architectural magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Modern furniture in shades of cream and gray. Art on the walls that was probably worth more than she made in a year. "Kitchen's fully stocked," Dante said, pointing. "Master bedroom is through there. There's a guest room if you'd prefer. Security system is armed, but we'll let you in and out. I'll show you how it works, and I'll leave my number in case you need anything." He walked her through the apartment, showing her where everything was, his manner almost businesslike now, professional. But Emma caught him watching her when he thought she wasn't looking, concern etched in the lines around his eyes. "I'll have some clothes sent over in the morning," he was saying. "Your size?" He paused, considered. "Small. Extra small." "Small," Emma confirmed, oddly touched that he was thinking about practicalities. "But you really don't have to." "Emma." He turned to face her fully. "Someone tried to kill you tonight. You have nothing but the clothes you're wearing. Let me help. Please." There was that please again. "Okay," she whispered. "Thank you. For everything." Dante nodded, then seemed to hesitate. "I need to go take care of some things. Make sure your ex gets on that train and leaves the city. Make sure he understands the consequences if he doesn't. But I'll have people watching this building, and you have my number if anything happens. Anything at all." He handed her a business card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering. No job title, just a name and a phone number. "What do you do?" Emma asked. "For work, I mean." Dante's smile was enigmatic. "Import and export. Mostly. Some real estate. Some investments. I keep busy. It was a non-answer, and they both knew it. But Emma was too exhausted to push. Get some rest, Dante said softly. Lock the door behind me. And Emma, you're safe here. I promise you that. He left, and Emma locked the door, set the security system like he'd shown her, and then stood in the middle of the enormous living room feeling completely overwhelmed. 12 hours ago, her biggest concern had been whether the bookstore's AC would be fixed before summer really hit. Now she'd nearly died, been saved by a mysterious stranger who might or might not be involved in organized crime, and was standing in a penthouse apartment that probably cost more per month than she made in a year. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Dante. Just checking in. Are you all right? Emma found herself smiling despite everything. Yes, she typed back. Thank you again. For everything. His response came immediately. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we'll make sure you're truly safe. Good night, Emma. Good night, she replied, and finally let herself feel the full weight of what had happened. She cried in the shower, huge, gasping sobs that she'd been holding back for hours. Cried for how close she'd come to dying. Cried for the betrayal of someone she'd once loved trying to murder her over a piece of jewelry. Cried because a complete stranger had shown her more kindness in 1 hour than Michael had in 3 years. When she finally crawled into the massive bed, silk sheets, down pillows, the kind of luxury she'd only dreamed of, she expected to lie awake, paranoid and scared. Instead, she fell asleep almost immediately, feeling safer than she had in months. She woke to sunlight streaming through windows and the smell of fresh coffee. For a confused moment, Emma couldn't remember where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The station, Michael's hands on her shoulders, Dante's arms catching her. Dante. Emma found him in the kitchen, looking unfairly handsome in dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up to reveal tanned forearms. He was at the stove, doing something that smelled amazing. Good morning, he said, glancing up with a slight smile. I hope you don't mind. I let myself in. I have a key, and thought you might be hungry. There wasn't much in the fridge, so I had some things brought up. Emma looked at the breakfast he was preparing. Eggs, bacon, fresh bread, fruit, and felt tears prick her eyes again. You didn't have to do this. I wanted to. He plated the food, gestured to the dining table. Sit, eat. Then we'll talk about next steps. The food was incredible. Of course it was. And Emma found herself actually hungry, despite the knot of anxiety in her stomach. Dante sat across from her with his own plate, and they ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. I had your apartment checked last night, Dante said finally. Michael did try to go back. He was turned away by some associates of mine who happened to be in the neighborhood. He got on a bus to Philadelphia at 3 this morning. I'm having him tracked to make sure he actually leaves the tri-state area. Emma set down her fork. This isn't normal. You know that, right? Normal people don't have associates who can track someone across state lines. No, Dante agreed. It's not normal. And you deserve to know exactly what you've gotten yourself into by accepting my help. He leaned back, studying her. My family has been in the import-export business for 4 generations. Some of our business is legitimate. Some of it exists in gray areas that the law doesn't quite reach. I won't lie to you and say I'm just a businessman. I'm what people call a made man, what movies call a mobster, though I prefer to think of myself as a problem solver. He said it so calmly, so matter-of-factly, that it took Emma a moment to process. You're in the Mafia. My family has connections to certain organizations, yes. I've worked hard to move us into legitimate business, but I won't pretend we don't still have ties to our past. I'm telling you this because you should know who helped you last night. You should know what kind of man you're trusting. His gray eyes were intense, serious. And you should know that if you want nothing more to do with me, I understand completely. I'll still make sure you're safe. That's not conditional on anything. But I won't pursue any further connection with you if you're uncomfortable. Emma tried to wrap her mind around it. The Mafia. Dante was in the actual Mafia. She should be terrified. She should run. But instead, she thought about Michael's hands pushing her toward the tracks. She thought about how Dante had caught her, how he'd protected her, how he'd spent the night making sure she was safe. She thought about his mother, killed by his father while everyone looked the other way. "Did you have anything to do with your father's death?" she asked quietly. Dante didn't flinch. "Yes. When I was 18, I made sure he could never hurt anyone else. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not sorry for it either." "Good," Emma said, and meant it. He deserved it. Something shifted in Dante's expression. Surprise, maybe? Or respect. "You're not running." "Should I be?" "Most people would be." Emma thought about that. Most people didn't have you save their life last night. Most people haven't seen how you treat people who matter versus people who don't. You were kind to me. You were gentle. But with Michael, she shivered, you were terrifying. In the best possible way. "He tried to kill you," Dante said simply. "There's no kindness in me for men like that." "I don't want kindness for men like that," Emma said. "I want them stopped. I want them scared. I want them to never even think about hurting someone again." She met his eyes. "So no, I'm not running. Not unless you want me to." Dante was quiet for a long moment. Then, softly, "I don't want you to." The air between them felt charged suddenly, heavy with something Emma couldn't quite name. Attraction? Yes, she'd have to be blind not to find him attractive, but something more than that. Recognition, maybe. Like they'd both been through darkness and could see it in each other. "We should probably address practical matters," Dante said, breaking the moment. "Your apartment, your job, your safety. I had a locksmith go to your building this morning. I hope you don't mind. He changed all your locks. New keys." He slid a key ring across the table. "I also had your landlord remove Michael from any authorized entry lists. He won't be able to get in the building now, even if he does come back." "How did you—" Emma started, then shook her head. "Never mind. I'm learning not to ask that question." "I know people," Dante said with a slight smile. "And I'm very persuasive. Now, about your job. Are you working today?" "I have a shift at 2. Call in. Take a few days off. You nearly died last night. You deserve time to recover." "I can't just not show up. I need this job." "You need to feel safe," Dante interrupted. "Money isn't a concern right now. I'll take care of it." "I can't let you pay my rent. Emma." He reached across the table, covered her hand with his. "Let me help, please. You can pay me back if it makes you feel better. Consider it a loan. But right now, I need you to take care of yourself. Can you do that? For me?" The "for me" shouldn't have worked. It was emotional manipulation, plain and simple. But the way he said it, like her well-being actually mattered to him, like it was important beyond just basic human decency, made Emma's resistance crumble. "Okay," she whispered. "A few days, but then I need to get back to normal." "A few days," Dante agreed. "And in the meantime, I'd like to spend time with you. Get to know you properly. Maybe take you to dinner once you're feeling up to it." He smiled, and it transformed his face from merely handsome to devastating. "I find myself very interested in the woman who didn't run when I told her I was in the mob." Emma laughed despite herself. "Is this how you usually ask women out? Save their life, admit you're a criminal, then suggest dinner?" "You're the first," Dante admitted. "Usually I meet women at business functions or through family connections. Very boring, very transactional. This is much more exciting." "Exciting is one word for it," Emma muttered, but she was smiling. They spent the rest of the morning talking, about everything and nothing. Dante told her about growing up in Sicily, about coming to America, and working his way up from nothing. Emma told him about her grandmother, who'd raised her after her parents died, who'd left her that ring as the only family heirloom. "We'll get it back," Dante said firmly. "I promise you that." "How?" Michael's girlfriend has it. We can't just leave it to me. His expression turned calculating. I have ways of being very persuasive. Trust me. Emma did trust him, she realized. Maybe she was crazy. Maybe nearly dying had broken something in her brain. But she trusted this man who'd caught her when she was falling, who'd threatened to throw her ex in a river, who'd opened his home to her without asking for anything in return. I should probably go check on my apartment, Emma said reluctantly. Make sure everything's okay. I'll drive you, and I'm coming inside with you. It wasn't a question, and Emma didn't argue. She'd be lying if she said she wanted to face her apartment alone right now. The ride to Queens was quiet, comfortable. Dante's driver navigated traffic expertly, while Dante sat beside Emma, close enough that their shoulders touched, his presence solid and reassuring. Her apartment building looked exactly the same, shabby but safe, the same neighbors she'd seen 1,000 times before. But everything felt different now. Dangerous. Dante must have sensed her hesitation because he took her hand. I'm right here, he said quietly. You're not alone. They went inside together, and Emma half expected to find her apartment ransacked, destroyed. Instead, everything was exactly as she'd left it. The locksmith had done his job. New deadbolt gleaming on the door, new handle. And on her kitchen counter, she found a note in Dante's handwriting. Security system installed. Monitors on all windows and doors. Panic button on your keychain. Press it if you feel unsafe, and my people will be here in under 3 minutes. D. When did you... Early this morning. I told you I had people checking on the apartment. Dante walked through the small studio, checking corners, looking out windows, making sure it was safe. The system is discreet. Your landlord thinks you paid for it yourself. Emma sat down on her bed, her familiar, lumpy bed that suddenly seemed impossibly small compared to the penthouse, and felt tears threatening again. Why are you being so nice to me? Dante turned to look at her, and his expression was so open, so honest, that it stole her breath. Because when I saw you falling, he said quietly, something in me recognized something in you. Someone who'd been hurt by someone they trusted. Someone who was fighting back anyway. Someone who deserved better than what they'd been given. He crossed to her, knelt down so they were eye level. And when I caught you, when I felt you holding on to me like I was the only solid thing in your world, I thought, this is what I've been looking for. Someone real. Someone brave. Someone worth protecting. You don't even know me, Emma whispered. Then let me know you. His hand came up, cupped her cheek with a gentleness that seemed impossible from a man who'd threatened murder so casually the night before. Let me take you to dinner. Let me hear your stories and your dreams and your fears. Let me prove to you that not all men are like your ex. That some of us actually know how to cherish something precious when we find it. Emma's heart was pounding so hard, she was sure he could hear it. This is crazy. Probably, Dante agreed. But I've found that the best things in life usually are. He leaned in slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, to say no, to stop this before it started. Emma didn't pull away. The kiss was soft, careful, questioning. His lips barely brushed hers, and Emma felt it all the way to her toes. She'd kissed Michael hundreds of times and never felt anything close to this spark, this electricity, this sense of rightness. When Dante pulled back, his eyes were dark and searching. Tell me I'm not alone in this. You're not, Emma breathed. You're definitely not alone. He smiled then, really smiled, and Emma saw past the dangerous mobster to the man underneath. The man who'd lost his mother too young. The man who'd built an empire from nothing. The man who'd seen someone falling and hadn't hesitated to risk himself to catch her. Good, Dante murmured. Because I have no intention of letting you go now that I've found you. They spent the afternoon in Emma's apartment, Dante making calls while Emma started the process of documenting everything for a restraining order. It felt good to be taking action, to be doing something instead of just being scared. Around 5, Dante's phone rang. He stepped into the hallway to answer, and when he came back, his expression was satisfied. "Your grandmother's ring," he said. "I have someone picking it up as we speak." Emma's jaw dropped. "How—" Michael's girlfriend received a very generous offer to return stolen property. Enough money that she decided the ring wasn't worth keeping after all. She'll have it in the mail to you by tomorrow, along with a signed statement that Michael gave it to her knowing it was stolen from you. "You bought my ring back," Emma said slowly. "I made an investment in your happiness," Dante corrected. "Think of it as what's the phrase? A relationship builder." "Is that what this is? A relationship?" Dante's eyes met hers, serious and intent. "I'd like it to be, if you would." Emma thought about all the reasons she should say no. She'd just gotten out of a relationship. She barely knew this man. He was in the mob, for God's sake. She should be running in the opposite direction. But instead, she thought about how safe she felt with him. How seen. How valued. How Michael had made her feel small and crazy for 3 years. And Dante had made her feel important and sane in less than 24 hours. "Yes," she said. "I'd like that too." The smile that broke across Dante's face was worth every bit of craziness, every bit of risk. "Then let me take you to dinner," he said. "Somewhere nice. Somewhere we can talk properly. Somewhere I can start proving to you that I mean every word I'm saying." They went to a restaurant in Little Italy that looked unassuming from the outside, but was clearly a place where powerful people ate. The owner greeted Dante by name, led them to a private table in the back, and disappeared with instructions to bring whatever the chef recommended. "They know you here," Emma observed. "My family has history with this place. 3 generations. The owner's grandfather and my grandfather were friends." Dante poured wine, deep red, probably expensive. "It's one of the few places I can truly relax." Over dinner, which was incredible, course after course of perfect Italian food, Dante asked her questions. About her childhood, her grandmother, her job at the bookstore, her dreams. And he actually listened, focused on her like she was the only person in the world. "I always wanted to open my own bookstore," Emma admitted. "Something cozy, independent. The kind of place where people come for recommendations and stay for coffee and conversation. But the money," she shrugged. "It's just a dream." "Dreams can become reality," Dante said thoughtfully. "With the right backing, the right location, the right vision." "Are you offering to fund my bookstore?" Emma asked, half joking. "I'm offering to be a silent partner if you're serious about it. I believe in supporting people's passions, and I believe in you." Emma set down her fork. "We've known each other for less than 24 hours. And in that time, I've learned more about you than I learned about my last girlfriend in 6 months. Quality over quantity, cara mia." The endearment, my dear, if Emma's rusty Italian was right, sent warmth flooding through her. "This is moving very fast," she said. "Would you prefer slow?" "I can do slow. I can be patient." Dante reached across the table, took her hand. "But I want you to know that I'm serious about this. About you. I don't do things halfway, Emma. When I commit to something, I'm all in." "What if I'm not ready for all in?" "Then we go at your pace. I told you, I'm patient when it matters. And you matter." They finished dinner, and Dante insisted on driving her home himself, dismissing his driver with a quick phone call. The car was different, lower, clearly expensive. A sports car that probably cost more than Emma would make in a decade. "You don't have to walk me up," Emma said when they reached her building, but she didn't really mean it. "I want to make sure you feel safe," Dante replied, already getting out of the car. At her apartment door, Emma hesitated. "Do you want to come in?" Dante studied her for a moment. "Do you want me to come in, or are you asking because you think you should ask?" Emma laughed softly. "A little of both?" "Then I'll say goodnight here." He stepped closer, and Emma's breath caught. "I want to kiss you again. May I?" The fact that he asked, that he always asked, always gave her a choice, made Emma's decision easy. "Yes," she whispered. This kiss was different from the first. Deeper, more certain, with heat behind it that promised things Emma wasn't quite ready to explore but desperately wanted to. Dante's hand cupped the back of her neck, his thumb tracing her jawline, and Emma felt herself melting into him. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested, his forehead against hers. I should go, he murmured, before I do something we're not ready for. Probably a good idea, Emma agreed, even though every part of her wanted him to stay. Tomorrow? Dante asked. Let me take you somewhere. Show you something beautiful. Okay. He kissed her forehead, gentle and sweet, then stepped back. Lock the door behind me, set the alarm, and text me when you're settled so I know you're safe. I will. Emma watched him walk to the elevator, watched him turn and smile at her one last time before the doors closed. Then she went inside, locked all 3 locks, set the alarm, and immediately texted, I'm safe. Thank you for tonight. It was perfect. His response came within seconds. You're perfect. Sleep well, cara mia. Dream of me. Emma fell asleep smiling, her phone clutched to her chest, feeling like maybe, just maybe, her life was finally turning around. The next 3 weeks were like something out of a dream. Dante was true to his word, patient, attentive, generous with his time and attention. He took her to art galleries and concerts. He cooked for her in the penthouse, and let her cook for him in her tiny apartment. He kissed her goodnight at her door and never pushed for more, even though Emma could see the desire in his eyes. I want you to be sure, he told her when she questioned his restraint. I want you to feel safe with me in every way. We have time. But it wasn't all romance and roses. Michael tried to come back twice. The first time, Dante's people intercepted him at the city limits and convinced him, with what methods Emma didn't ask, that returning was a very bad idea. The second time, Michael actually made it to Emma's building before Dante showed up personally. Emma had been in her apartment when the security alarm went off. Someone had tried to use the old key on her lock. Her hands shaking, she'd pressed the panic button on her keychain. Dante arrived in under 2 minutes, which should have been impossible from his office in Midtown. He must have been nearby, watching over her. She heard shouting in the hallway, then silence. Then a knock. It's me, Kara. You're safe, but don't open the door until I say. Emma waited, heart pounding, until Dante called out, Okay, it's clear. She opened the door to find Dante alone, adjusting his cufflinks with perfectly steady hands. But there was blood on his knuckles, and his expression was dark. Michael? She asked quietly. Is in a hospital in New Jersey with 2 broken ribs and a shattered wrist. He won't be using that hand to push anyone for quite a while. Dante's voice was cold, businesslike. I made it very clear that a 3rd attempt would result in more permanent damage. He won't be back, Emma. I promise you that. Emma should have been horrified. Instead, she felt a savage satisfaction. Good. Dante's expression softened as he looked at her. Are you all right? I am now. She stepped forward, went up on her toes, and kissed him. Hard, desperate, grateful. Take me somewhere, she whispered against his lips. Somewhere that's just ours. I don't want to be in this apartment tonight. The penthouse? Dante offered. Yes, please. They went to Tribeca, and this time when they got inside, Emma didn't want him to leave. She pulled him down onto the couch beside her, kissed him until they were both breathless, and said the words she'd been holding back for days. Stay with me tonight. Dante pulled back, searched her face. Are you sure? After what just happened? I'm sure because of what just happened. Because you keep me safe. Because I trust you. Because I want you. Emma cupped his face in her hands. I want you, Dante. Is that clear enough? His smile was slow and devastating. Crystal clear, cara mia. He kissed her until the fear of Michael's attempt faded, until all she could think about was Dante's hands on her skin, Dante's lips on her throat, Dante's whispered endearments in Italian that she didn't need to translate to understand. Later, wrapped in his arms in the massive bed, Emma felt safer and more cherished than she ever had in her entire life. "I love you," Dante said into the darkness. "I know it's fast. I know you might not be ready to hear it. But I need you to know. I love you, Emma. Completely. Utterly. Forever." Emma turned in his arms, looked up at him in the moonlight filtering through the windows. This man who'd saved her, who'd protected her, who'd shown her what it meant to be truly valued. "I love you too," she whispered. "Is that crazy?" "Probably," Dante said, echoing their first real conversation. "But the best things usually are." 3 months later, Emma stood in what would soon be her bookstore. A gorgeous space in the West Village with exposed brick and tall windows, currently empty but full of potential. Dante stood beside her, his arm around her waist, looking at the space with the same critical eye he brought to all his business ventures. "The contractor says 6 weeks for renovations," he was saying. "But I think we can push for 4 if we need to. When did you want to open?" "I still can't believe you're doing this," Emma said. "We're doing this. I'm just the money. You're the vision, the heart, the soul of it." He kissed her temple. "This is your dream, Kara. I just want to help make it real." Emma's phone buzzed. A package had arrived at her apartment. The ring, finally returned by Michael's ex-girlfriend, with a notarized statement of how she'd acquired it. Emma had almost given up hope. "It's here," she said, showing Dante the notification. "Good." Dante smiled, then knelt down on one knee, right there in the empty bookstore. Emma's heart stopped. "I had a whole plan for this," Dante said, pulling out a small velvet box. "Dinner at the restaurant where we had our first date. Roses. Champagne. Very romantic. Very traditional. But standing here in your bookstore, the dream you're building, the future you're creating, this feels right." He opened the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring. "Emma Carter, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life making sure you never fall, never fear, never doubt how deeply you are loved?" Emma was crying, laughing, nodding all at once. "Yes. Yes, of course, yes." Dante slipped the ring onto her finger, then stood and kissed her thoroughly, properly, completely. When they broke apart, Emma noticed people on the sidewalk outside, applauding through the window. "You planned this," she accused. "The timing, the location. I planned to ask. The universe provided the perfect moment." Dante grinned. "Though I admit, having your grandmother's ring arrive today was carefully arranged. I wanted you to have it back before we moved forward. Full circle, cara mia." Emma looked down at her hand, her grandmother's ring on her right hand where it belonged, Dante's ring on her left. Past and future, memory and promise. "I can't believe Michael tried to kill me over a ring," she said softly. "And instead, you got 2. Dante pulled her close. "Plus a business, a home, a family. My family is very excited to meet you properly. And a husband who will spend every day making sure you know exactly how precious you are." "Don't forget the Mafia protection," Emma teased. "That goes without saying." Dante's expression turned serious. "Speaking of which, there's something you should know. Michael was in an accident last week. Car crash. Non-fatal, but he'll be in traction for a while. And when he gets out, he'll be on a bus to California with a new job lined up and explicit instructions never to return to New York." Emma raised an eyebrow. "An accident?" "A very unfortunate, very mysterious accident," Dante agreed solemnly. Emma should probably feel guilty, should probably protest, but instead she felt only relief that Michael would finally be truly gone, unable to hurt her or anyone else. "Thank you," she said simply. "For you?" Dante kissed her forehead. "Anything. Always." They stood there in the empty bookstore, holding each other, planning their future. a bookstore owner and a mob boss. A woman who'd almost died, and a man who'd caught her. It was crazy. It was impossible. It was perfect. And Emma had never been happier in her entire life.